Hello and welcome back to another FPL video. Today we're taking a look at our Game Week 21 captaincy, and it is a little bit of an interesting one this week because, as you can see on screen, we have captained Mohamed Salah over the last couple of weeks and it has went well for us, but this week it does have a bit more of a difficult fixture up against Nottingham Forest away from home. They are the only team that have beaten Liverpool so far in the league this season. They have the most clean sheets as well and obviously are a very solid defence. So Salah could potentially be the one, according to the stats, who is the best captaincy. We're going to have to wait and find out. As always, we've got predicted points, goal odds, and a lot more that we're going to take a look at. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe as well if you are new. Again, hoping to continue on with our 4 captaincy successes in a row. Obviously, Palmer has unfortunately messed that up since about game week 12, but it has been going well recently, obviously with Mo Salah being in great form. Let's take a look and see our 4 picks for this week. So it's Salah, Palmer, Haaland and Isak, the 4 players we're going to be taking a in-depth look into for this week. 2 away fixtures and 2 home fixtures between them. Salah, of course, as we just mentioned, up against Nottingham Forest away from home. Palmer, probably the best, one of the best fixtures on paper for the premiums at least, with Bournemouth at home. An away fixture for Erling Haaland against Brentford, which is now classed as a red fixture, with Brentford's home form being so good over the course of the season. And of course, Alexander Isak, the man in form right now, the nailed on striker in essentially everybody's teams. He's got Wolves at home, so a really nice fixture for him as well. Let's take a look at the predicted points. So this week it is actually Cole Palmer who has got the most predicted points on both websites as well, which is interesting. Salah, after being right at the top for a good few weeks in a row, has dropped down obviously with that fixture being a difficult one. Fantasy Football Hub, he has only 7.2 predicted points, which does put him at 3rd place for Fantasy Football Hub, with Isak and Palmer both ahead of him for this week. For FPL team, it is a slightly different. Palmer is still expected to score more points. Salah is down at the 2nd place this time. He does have more points than Haaland and Isak. For some reason, FPL team are not really rating Isak this week. There's a big difference between Fantasy Football Hub and FPL team with 7.4 and 6.3. But FPL team does have Isak at the bottom for our 4 players for this week, only 6.3 predicted points. Haaland about 6.7, 6.8, picking up some form in more recent weeks, but he isn't really someone that I don't think we're going to be looking at too much today, because obviously not really many people own him, and Brentford away isn't exactly the easiest fixture these days. So as the orders go, it is Palmer at number 1 on Fantasy Football Hub, with Isak in 2nd, Salah in 3rd and Haaland in 4th, but FPL team also has Palmer in 1st, with Salah in 2nd, Haaland in 3rd and Isak down at 6.3 at the bottom. As the seasonal stats go for expected minutes, it is only Isak who isn't expected to play 90 minutes this week with 86. Again, nothing too huge in terms of, like having to worry too much about a substitution. He could easily play the 90, and if he doesn't, he probably gets subbed about 5-10 minutes before the full-time whistle, which isn't the end of the world. For XG, it is getting very close between Mohamed Salah and Erling Haaland now. Haaland is up to 15.9 with 16 goals so far this season, but Mohamed Salah is right behind with 15.7, and he is of course the top goal scorer in the Premier League right now with 18 goals. Isak right up there as well now with 11.7 expected goals. He's ahead of Cole Palmer, who's got 10.6. Same amount of goals shared between them, 13 and 13. For expected assists, it is still Cole Palmer who is at the top with 5.6, followed by Mo Salah at 4.5. Then it's Isak at 2.4, and then of course Erling Haaland down at 1.2, as he does only have 1 assist so far this season. When it comes to return chances, it's actually Isak who takes it for this week, which we haven't really seen too much. I think Isak is normally, because he's not classed as one of the premiums, doesn't normally have high, predicted points and odds and stuff like that, but he is at the top this week with a 69% chance of returning. Palmer only 1% below that is 68%. Then it's Salah at 64%, and Haaland once again down the bottom with 63%. When it comes to goal odds this week, it is very hard to, or for anyone to overcome Erling Haaland when it comes to betting odds. He is at the top for scoring one or more goals with a 57% chance of doing that. Salah, who has been obviously a favourite, is actually the least likely to score this week. He's only down at a 43% chance of picking up a goal. Now, Isak is at 56%, so he is right up there with Erling Haaland. As you can see, by the 2 goals plus, he's also joint with Haaland in there with a 20% chance of picking up 2 or more goals. When it comes to Salah and Palmer, they are joint with 2 plus goals with 13% each. So Salah, who is kind of debated as not really a great captaincy option, is still essentially up there with Cole Palmer, who has much more predicted points this week. As you can see with Isak, he has a much higher chance of picking up some goals. He also had the return chances in the previous slide, and of course when it comes to opponents' clean sheets, Wolves are the least likely to keep a clean sheet of our 4 teams for this week, with only a 10% chance of doing so. When it comes to set pieces, of course, everyone on penalties, as we always choose for our captaincy choices. This time round, it is only Cole Palmer who has the extra advantages with the free kicks and the corners on his side, of course, when it comes to picking up goals from free kicks, assists from free kicks, and of course corners as well. But as always, penalties are the main focus here, and any of our 4 choices here will be taking the spot kicks. When it comes to rest, of course, we've got EFL Cup and FA Cup games on this week. The EFL Cup was played last week, which was your Wednesdays and Thursday games. When it comes to the FA Cup playing over the weekend, we've got Salah, Palmer and Haaland all playing on Saturday, and Newcastle were playing on the Sunday. But when it comes to the Premier League games after that, there's no difference when it comes to rest. Each team is getting 2 days rest between their FA Cup match and their Premier League match, so no one has the advantage there. Salah has 2 days, Palmer has 2 days, Haaland has 2 days, and despite playing a day later, Isak also has 2 days rest. Now, when it comes to the opponent's defences, of course, already mentioned how solid Nottingham Forest can be. They are down as the 3rd best defence for expected goals conceded so far in the league this season. I believe it's only behind Liverpool and Arsenal, and Forest take 3rd place with 22.4 expected goals conceded. They've also conceded the least amount of goals on this list with only 19 goals conceded. Now, one thing to keep in mind if you are someone who is really tempted to captain Salah, when it comes to chances conceded, it's really not too much of a difference. When you take a look at Wolves, for example, you can see the chances down the right hand side, obviously where Mohamed Salah plays. Wolves are one of the worst defences in the league. They are the 6th worst, but they only have 63 chances conceded down the right hand side. Now, Nottingham Forest have 60 chances down the right hand side, so yes, you probably would be looking at captaining the likes of Mo Salah if it was a fixture against Wolves, even though they only have 63 chances down the right. So it could be worth, if you wanted to, really rely on Salah, it could be worth sticking the captaincy on him, because Forest are pretty similar when it comes to chances conceded down that side. Again, they are still a very solid defence all round, so obviously these chances can come to other things, a lot more big chances conceded, for example, on Wolves' side than Nottingham Forest side, but it is just something to keep in mind. Again, looking at the expected goals conceded, it is obviously Wolves who are the worst on this list with 31.8. They've also conceded the most goals in the Premier League so far. They've got 45 goals conceded, and I'm pretty sure second place is Southampton. I think they've got 43 or 44 goals conceded. So Wolves, when it comes to actual goals conceded, are the worst in the league, but they are massively overperforming that with only a 31.8 XGC. But again, 125 chances down the middle makes Isak look like a really good option for this week. Brentford are also one of the worst defences. They are 7th when it comes to expected goals conceded, with just a little bit less than Wolves with 31.4, and of course have conceded a lot less than that with 35 actual goals conceded. Now, they do have 154 chances down the middle conceded, which is going to be very effective for Erling Haaland, so it's another week where if you do own him, it is very possible to stick that captaincy on him. And of course, if you you are owning someone who has 15 million, you probably do want to be captaining them as much as possible. So it is a decent week for that, despite it being a fairly difficult fixture on paper. For Palmer, I'm not really too interested in this. Bournemouth are a pretty decent defence as well. They are the 5th best defence in the league when it comes to expected goals conceded, and they're sitting in 16th. They've only conceded 23 as well so far this season, so even though it is a home fixture, Palmer isn't in the same form as Mohamed Salah. So if you were potentially looking at Palmer as a captaincy, I think I would just stick it on Forest anyway, because they are pretty similar when it comes to defensive stats. But for me, when it comes to chances conceded, Isak's definitely looking like one of the best options. And with that being said, Isak is going to be the pick for our Game Week 21 captaincy. So we're moving away from Mohamed Salah this week, thinking the fixture is a little bit too difficult for a captaincy. And we're going to go with Isak because I think this is the highest expected points he's had all season. His run of form has boosted that up when it comes to the algorithms. He's got the highest return chance as well, with a 69% chance of picking up at least one return so far this week. Matching Haaland for goal odds, which very, very rarely happens for anyone, never mind Isak, who isn't classed as a premium. Home fixture, of course, against the worst defence of our 4 choices. And again, as I already mentioned, Wolves have conceded the most goals so far in the Premier League. Isak's also on a run of scoring in his last 7 matches, so at least 1 goal in his last 7. A nice fixture against Wolves at home. I would definitely be backing him to at least get 1. Hopefully he can get 2 or 3, and the captaincy really does pay off. So that is going to be our captaincy choice. Let me know if you agree. Are you sticking with Mo Salah this week, or are you going to go a little bit more out the box, potentially Isak or potentially someone else? Again, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one.